It's the World Sports Betting 1900 race day at Hollywoodbets Greyville, Saturday the 10th of May, the first of 9 races due off at 11:40. That's over 1,000 metres. I'm joined in the studio by Dees Dynand. We'll say hi to him in just a moment. But let's get straight into the opening race. A maiden plate over 1,000 metres doesn't form part of the exotics. We've already had one scratching, that of number 9. But before we go any further, let's welcome Dees Dynand into the studio. Dees, looking forward to a nice competitive day's racing.
Exotic card, Graham. I trust that all the racing fans are well. There are 9 races on the go. You mentioned that race number 1 doesn't form part of the exotics. I think if you structure these exotics well, whichever one you're aiming at, you should get good dividends, Graham.
Now, I know just before recording, and everybody knows we record on a Friday morning, more than 24 hours ahead of race time, you were very much in the camp of number 9 here, which has now been scratched. That's thrown your ideas into disarray. Where do we look now?
Oh, Graham, it's a race where, a horse like Panetti, who's showed a lot of pace and speed last time out over 1,400 meters, drawn 1. It could be a horse that you'll go for, but I think a must in trifectas and quartets. MJ Odendaal looks to have a strong hand with number 7, Clickbait, and number 8, Life on the Tides. I think both these runners will have followers. Just looking at the betting prior to the scratching, they had number 4, Are You Sure, at 22-10, 7, Clickbait at 5-2, and the scratched horse with around 7-2. There will be adjustments. I haven't taken that down. The scratching has just come through. But this horse, Clickbait, MJ Odendahl's runner, engaging the services of Richard Fourie. We saw him do that the other day with that horse called Intensity that won well. I think that's a notable engagement. Life on the Tides, personally, I think further better. So of the 2 from MJ's yard, I'll be firmly in the camp of 7. And then an interesting runner will be Champagne Problems, Stuart Ferry's horse. First run for the yard. I see they race the horse with the tongue tie on. And the Cape Town maiden form lines has to be respected. And Are You Sure? I thought it was a pleasing effort back from a layoff last time out. It was a short break, but looked like she just needed it, Graham. So, between numbers 1, 3, 6, and 7, I think the winner should come from one of them. Nice trifecta quartet. I initially wrote down a quartet, Graham, with 9 a banker. So I'd like to change that to maybe 4 and 7 for first, by 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 for second, third, and fourth.
Okay, so there we go. Obviously, number 9, an important scratching here. Dees has reflected on the betting. He's reflected on number 7, Clickbait, who comes from a very, very speedy family. Will have benefited from that first outing. Richard Fourie is serious jockey booking, so Clickbait definitely a runner. I'm slightly, but not with a great deal of confidence, in the camp of number 1, Panetti. I like the improvement from race 1 to race 2, showed a lot of pace. Yes, 1,000 metres for a son of Futura might be on the sharp side, but out of a very fast mare by VAR. So this race is up for grabs. The early favourite is number 4, Are You Sure? No, we're not.
Well, exotics will begin in race number 2. You need to get on the tote for the bipod at 12:15. It's over 1,000 meters, and this is a maiden plate. So we bring up the field to have a look at some betting as a guide, Graham. Number 1 is trading at 17-10. That's Prairie Terrace. 17-10. And that's Allison Wright and Atantiwe Mgutla. Then we got 17-10 joint, the stable companion, number 6, Gorgeous Bomb. Number 7 is trading at 11-2, and 8 at 13-2. So it's Allison Wright versus MJ Odendaal, Graham. Do you prefer either camp, or do you have a firm first selection? Yeah, MJ Odendaal or Allison Wright?
Well, on form, it has to be Allison Wright, but I'll come back and answer that question because I do like one of MJ's horses, and I think because the price is attractive and offers some good each-way value. But Prairie Terrace, now drawn in gate 1, a very nice debut, backed, so a good run was expected. Atantiwe Mgutla retains the ride. It's interesting, Gavin Lorena's ridden Gorgeous Bomb throughout her career. And of course, Ati was aboard number 1, Prairie Terrace, when making its debut. So there was lots to like about the 3-year-old daughter of Vercingetorix's debut. She was backed. She ran accordingly. Now she jumps out of pole position. Benefit of the run under experience. I think it'll take a good one to beat number 1 Priory Terrace. Clearly the stable companion Gorgeous Bombers had 2 good runs, would not be winning out of turn, and Gavin Lorena retains the ride there. You've mentioned the 2 from MJ Odendaal, number 7 Vega. He's quite emphatic, will need the run. Yes, Richard Ferry rides, and yes, when making its debut on the 25th of May last year, so it made its debut just about a year ago, was eye-catching. It's only had 1 start, that was back in June. Since then, which was perhaps a bit disappointing. So clearly something went amiss with Vega. He's been given the time to develop. But I really like number 8, Emoyeni. There's some 7-1 around. I think that offers good each-way value in a small field, despite the worst of the draw. The form is nice. If you dig into the form, D's, on the 24th of November, ran second, well beaten by Major Tommy. Third in that race was Grado. That's come out to win twice. Then on the 2nd of February, which was the last time we saw Emoyeni, and he was gelded straight after that, so he appears here as a gelding for the first time. He ran 5th behind Real War. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th have all won.
Yes.
So that is a strong form line. So if you know, while I have huge respect for Priory Terrace and Gorgeous Bomb, they both at 17-10, 7-1 each way around. Emoyeni, I think, is quite an attractive play. But again, the selection's not made with a great deal of confidence. It is the Alison Wright stable versus the MJ Odendaal stable. And certainly both of Alison's runners tick a lot of boxes.
I must say I read this race the same way as Graham did, and I'll give you those winners from that last start, because I also pulled out that form line. Real War, Good Living, Serpentine Fire, and the subsequent winner was just the other day, beating the odds-on shot, a horse called Longstreet from the Tony Riverland stable. So that form line's on fire behind Real War. And if you want to choose a form line that's the strongest in the race, I think Graham's spot on here. 7-1 looks an attractive price, about number 18, Emoyeni. But a lot of respect for both the runners from the Alison Wright stable, numbers 1 and 6, with Richard Ferry engaged on number 7 for MJ Odendaal, who's coming off a very long break. Just keep an eye on the betting market. But I think leg 1 of that bar pot, numbers 1, 6, 7, and 8 will be popular. But Graham, if you have to choose 2 numbers, one of them, I rubber stamp number 8, Emoyeni. Are we going to go Gorgeous Bomb or Limitless Priory Terrace for Alison Wright? Between, 1 from MJ's yard, number 8 is the horse. 1 from Alison Wright stable?
I'd go with the best draw, number 1 Priory Terrace.
Okay, let's go 1 and 8 there in leg 1 of that bar pot. But the value is certainly with number 8, Emoyeni.
Race 3 on the card, the first leg of the place accumulator, maiden plate fillies and mares over 1,400 metres off at 12.50. Again, it's a smallish field. That's pretty much the theme of the day. We have an interview. Rahil Radhakrishna chatted to Duncan Howells.
I Promise of Fire, she caught us out a little bit last time out. She didn't travel in the race. Turned for home with quite a bit of ground to make up and only finished the race off very late. But the impression, or she gave the rider a very hard ride in the race and never travelled with him. We tried the blinkers on her. She's always shown superior work at home. So if taking to the blinkers and with the draw, I think she'll give a nice account of herself.
Well, I think the key here is the blinkers go on number 4, Promise of Fire. The form doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, but as you heard there from Duncan Howells, the daughter of Fire Away has shown some ability back at home, and maybe blinkers from a neat draw 4 will get her to concentrate and focus in this 1,400 metre race, in which number 5, Alex Miller from the Candice Bass Robinson stable tops the boards at 15-10. She's a long time struggling maiden. Number 2, Shesha Ntombi is at 3-1, along with number 7, KMV Retrofit at 3-1. The possible improver in the race is number 8, Splash of Love. That's at 7-1. Only had the 1 start, also behind Limitless Sky. That form line comes under scrutiny when Priory Terrace runs in the 2nd race. But D's, it's not going to take a lot of winning this race. I can tell you that number 5, Alex Miller, I appreciate she brings Cape form into the race. I know the Cape form pretty well. This filly is very limited. I'm somewhat surprised to see her in KwaZulu-Natal. I thought she might have found an easier opportunity through the winter in the Western Cape, but I respect Candice Bass-Robinson's decision to bring her here. There's always been a whisper that she's got ability. She certainly will win a race, and this could be her day, because this race is not going to take a lot of winning.
I've watched the races down in the Western Cape as well, Graham. Personally, I think the way she races, the course will suit her. All she needs to do is just, take the right-handed turn, which she goes on for the first time. And they may have found the right type of field for her, because when you have a look at the opposition that she takes on, whilst there is some form in the race, some are improving, I think that she could be in the right race at the right time. So 15-10 is short, but I think she's the right horse at the top of betting boards. Maybe come race time, she could drift out if money comes for any of the locals. Of the locals, I'm firmly in the camp of Shisha Ntombi, Wendy Whitehead's runner. Go and watch the replay of that last start, drawn 10 out of 11 around the turn at Hollywoodbets Greyville over 1,400 meters. She was just ridden for luck in the early part of the race, and you had to like the way she was finishing off behind Dean Canamay's runner called Gurkha. That form line has held up nicely. I know Gurkha ran second since then, but second in that race was a certain Firelight who was won, and from that form line, Long Street has won. So for me, of the locals, like the look of Shisha Ntombi, Wendy Whitehead having a fair share of winners. She had a good winner the other day with Sundown's Kid. Horses are looking good and the results are there. So I'm going to go 2 and 5 year Graham in leg 1 of the Place Accumulator and the Bipot. And then of the balance, I agree, 4 Promise of Fire, 7 KMV Retrofit, and number 8 Splash of Love will have followers. But for me, more trifectas and quartets. So I'm going to say the winner comes from 2 and 5. If you don't like number 5 with the lack of winners from the recent form lines down in the Western Cape, then be with 2.
So the local hope rests with number 2 Shisha Ntombi from the Wendy Whitehead stable. Calvin Abib takes the ride. He's back in a winning vein is Kelvin Abib, and it was nice to see Wendy saddle a winner through the course of the week. But Alex Miller does arguably bring the best form into the race, and it'll be interesting to see how she goes. The 3-year-old daughter of Give Me the Green Light around the right-handed turn. They set the standard, 2 and 5 for D's. Just watch for possible improvement from the juvenile number 8 Splash of Love.
Well, it's the big one. It's the Pick 6, and just a refresh that last week, the Pick 6 would basically one result on the day. That's My Baby. At any price, paid close to 2 million rand, Graham. And that was a tremendous payout considering the results on the day, because you had fancied runners for most of the races. I know tobacconist in the last curve, some may say, but there was money for the horse. But that was a serious payout last week, Graham.
Big dividend, obviously. Some happy punters, happy with the outcome, but it was, in an overall sense, I find the Pick 6 always tough because you've got to be absolutely spot on with your bankers.
Yep. Well, let's see how this one goes. It begins at an odd time, 12:23. That is when you need to get the bet on. A maiden plate for fillies over 1,400 meters. Before we analyze the field, we got some interviews here for you, Glenn Codson and Byron Forster.
Lemon Time, she improved nicely last time, going further. She was probably a little bit unlucky. She found a little bit of trouble around the turn and at the top of the straight, and but she was doing her best work at the end, which was important, and she's looking in a good space since the run. Obviously, you've got to respect the 2 horses up from Cape Town, and if we can't beat them, we'll definitely be in the money.
Yeah, look, she ran second her penultimate start, but it's crazy. I mean, before we got here, there must have been 7 races, maiden races, colts, fillies over 18, 2,000, and then for the month of May, 0. You can get one at the end of May on the 28th. So we thought, oh damn it, we'll put it in the 1,400 and let's see where we are. I mean, she drew in the bush. Thank goodness everybody's thinking what I'm thinking, that there is no races. Leave them in the box or earn the 3,000 for beating one horse home. So we're going to give her a gallop. But I must say that we put a pair of blinkers on her, and if you look at her form, she's run second over 1,400. It's not the strongest field. The Cape form, as we know, is quite strong. With the blinkers, I think we could...
Well, I'm going to just go 3 runners here, Graham, in numerical order, numbers 4, 7, and of course the top one, which is number 9. The betting has it like so. Number 3, World Chorus, a first timer at 5-1. 4, Green Light Sky is at 2-1. 7, Lemon Time is at 6-1. and 15-10 about Lucinda Woodruff's runner called Another Dream, number 9. Yeah, the 3 runners are going to be number 4, Green Light Sky, 7, Lemon Time, and 9, Another Dream. Just want to start off with Another Dream, Graham, for Lucinda Woodruff. That form line of that last start behind Clancy, you'll know it well, is holding up superb down in the Western Cape. Clancy winning again. We have a situation who was second in that race, has won twice and run seconds since. Stu's Girl has won. So that's a powerful form line, considering it was an open maiden, and this horse was at any price that day. 11 out of 14, an excellent run at Hollywoodbets Durbanville, and I can see why this horse is at the top of the betting boards, and I think rightfully so, the horse to beat. Of the locals, I've picked out number 7, Lemon Time, for Andre Nell and Platinum Racing. We'll keep an eye on race number 3, Graham, with numbers 4 and 7, Promise of Fire, and KMV Richoffer, who come from that form line behind Street Talk. If they run well there, there'll be some confidence in the betting market for this filly, who's trading at around 6-1. And then Green Light Sky for Glenn Cotson. Now, that form line behind, Strawberry Thief has also held up well. Looked it up, English Mistress, Blossoming Field. Blinkers go on, and we saw them have a winner the other day with a maiden on the poly track. Blinkers on as well, and a good confident ride from Chad Little from a poor draw. So I'm expecting the same with this filly. If the blinkers do the trick, she is a serious threat to the top one. But hoping to get through numbers 4, 7, and 9. Once I look past them, Graham, it becomes very tough.
I think you're pretty safe with 4, 7, and 9. Green Light Sky clearly wants further. We heard there from Glenn Cotson slapping the blinkers on to try and sharpen her up from a nice draw, but could need the run and definitely prefers further. There's no doubt that number 9, Another Dream, brings the strongest form into the race. But it's a bit worrying that after running second on debut behind Mon Petit Cherie, who's now a multiple Group 2 winner, that she didn't win in the next 3 starts. So that is a bit of a question mark. Yes, she was off the track from her debut for a couple of months and only started racing again in 2025. But as you mentioned, the form of her last run behind Clancy, that's pretty good, but she was comprehensively beaten by Clancy. So I do believe that Another Dream brings the strongest form into the race and should win this. And if you're adventurous, you might want to even nail your colours to the mast and bank a number 9, Another Dream, in the opening leg. You're well covered with numbers 4 and 7. Green Light Sky has also been a bit of a battling maiden, but her recent form is over 1,800 metres. That has been her best form. She could find this a bit on the sharp side, but again, it's a shallow race. She might get away with it. As you've mentioned, we've got to watch that Street Talk form in the previous race with Promise of Fire and KMV Retrofit. But she's coming along the right way. Certainly, she's only had the 3 starts. She's entitled to improve further. I know that you don't need to consider number 3, World Chorus, the first timer for pick 6 purposes, but it's interesting that Gareth Van Sale reports that she's working nicely. She doesn't have to be too good to win on debut.
Yeah, I'll pick that up as well. That's the comment in the computer form for the first time, and number 3, World Chorus. But both Graham and I agree that the right horse is at the top of betting boards. It's number 9, Another Dream, and she will be the filly to beat. And the backup is sufficient with numbers 4 and 7.
Race 5 is the first leg of Jackpot 1. It's a middle stakes for fillies and mares over 1,400 metres. It is off at 13.58. This looks a whole lot more competitive. Number 1, 2 G's is at 5-1. 2 Sonic Jet, 11-2. 3 Katiwi's Destiny is interesting. Backs up within 7 days after racing from a very wide draw last time. Number 4 Zalta Star is a scratching. Number 6 So Hot So What is at 7-2, 8 Captain Peg at 8-1, 10 Bevy's Delight at 6-1. Those are the runners quoted in single figures. But before we take the discussion any further, 2 G's is on a hat-trick. Let's see her in action on the 31st of March.
The outside of that, Colorado Creek. Coming to the 400, Chelsea Flower leads it. Now blowing in the winds, putting in a claim. 2 G's on the outside. Over on the inside, Rafif's Choice, Siberian Winter, Colorado Creek. They come from everywhere. Blowing in the wind. On the outside, Colorado Creek and 2 G's. And then Ethereal View on the inside, Rafif's Choice. It's 2 G's just the leader. 2 G's won it from Colorado Creek, and third, Sunshine Day.
Go Like Flow. Last 2 runs have been a little bit disappointing. We've tried to get her forward last time, and it was a little bit of scrappy up front, and Look, if she can find the lead and find a soft lead, she should run a better race. It's obviously a competitive little lineup, but she's a happy horse going into the race.
Yes, Warren, she was excellent in her last start last weekend from a really bad draw. Obviously, no bad draws won on the day, so I think her run was full of merit. Today, Saturday, we got a good draw, up in distance. I think there's a lot in her favour, and I think she can run a big race.
Matthew sounds a little confident there about number 3, Katiwe's Destiny. They gave her a blowout 7 days ago on the 3rd of May. That was on the opening day of champion season. She didn't run badly. She ran 4th behind That's My Baby, one of those that outsiders that caused the massive pick 6 dividend. But she raced their D's from the 12 out of 12 gate. She didn't have a trouble-free passage. Now she's drawn in gate 3. Sean Veal is riding up a storm. The Hollywood Racing team had 4 winners at Hollywoodbets Greyville during the week. She has a clear chance. She offers some each way value at 8-1, but it is competitive as the betting suggests it is. But let's start off with Lucinda Woodruff's runner. We do think she can win the previous race with Another Dream. So Hot, So What, good form, nice filly. Gavin Larena knows her very well, ridden in all 4 starts to date. She's won 2 of her 4 starts, run second on the other occasion. She has the right profile for a track like Hollywoodbets Greyville, even though she comes here for the first time. What do you make of So Hot, So What?
Graham, you know, when I look at some of these horses, and we looked at the replay of 2Gs, even a horse like So Hot, So What, and you just look at the average ratings they've been racing against, and, this is an average rating of a 90. So they are stepping up, and there are some horses that I think will be, at home at this level. Her form line of her last start, whilst there haven't been any winners, there have been places, horses that have come out to place. 5 of them from the 11 runners to date behind Yo Laka Ding. So Lucinda's horses have settled in nicely here in KZN. That's a big plus. She's hit the tough running, as I mentioned, and this horse, Gavin is the right man for the job because he's ridden her in all of her starts 2 days. A lot of respect for her. There are some interesting horses here, Graham, because I think the pace is going to be on in this type of race. Are you going to go for runners that are coming from off the speed? Because Corey Lensley has got this horse, Sonic Jet, and personally I think he's found the perfect race for her. This course is going to suit her beautifully. She's nicely drawn at 2. She'll have the run of the race, and these other jocks better be, wide awake and not caught napping, because she very seldom tires. So she's an interesting runner for me, number 2, Sonic Jet. You heard it from Matthew about Katiwe's Destiny. Yeah, they've backed up nicely. You used the word blot. That's the way I looked at it as well, because I had a word with Sean Veal after the running of that race, Graham, and he said, just a draw beat me, watch her in a week's time. And here she is, nicely drawn. Number 8, Captain Peg, she's taking a long time to win again, but she's a solid, consistent, hard-knocking 5-year-old. And here again, Stuart Pettigrew could have found the right field. Perella at any price. Personally, I think she's better than her recent form. Bevy's Delight, a fluent winner last time out of a shorter. Great ride by Rachel Vinegar. And then the most interesting runner of them all for me, Graham, is this horse called Gerbera. After winning 2 in a row, Sean Terry hasn't been tried to test her against the best of her generation in the Highveld, the Classic and the Oaks. I'm not going to say that she doesn't stay, Graham. For me, having watched those races, it's more the going that found her out on the day. Both those races, I think she got stuck in the mud. So at a Hollywoodbets Greyville, even though she's poorly drawn, you're going to have to be the judge on the penalty she's incurred, for running 5th beaten 11 lengths in the Classic. But is she a 99? Yeah, as I say, you're going to have to be the judge, but the handicapper's got a job to do when you take your place in these feature races, and that's his assessment of her rating. So I think she's better than her last 2 runs. The fact that Sean, has brought her down for this race, which is a highly competitive field, and if she brings a form that I think she's capable of, I'm going to say that around 7-8-1 in the betting, she's going to be my top choice here. So if you're looking for a roving banker on all bets, I'm going to go 11, Gerbera.
So number 11, Gerbera for D's. I think in the final analysis, depending on how you structure your jackpots and your pick sixes, this does look like a field leg. There are many fancied horses in the race. We didn't really focus too long on number 1, 2Gs, but she's cracked a pole position and is clearly above average, having won 3 from 5. We've discussed all of the others, there are many with chances. I do want to come back to Perilla. I agree that she's better than her recent form suggests. I love the course and distance form 4 starts for 3 wins and 1 second. I've already helped myself to a little bit of 33 to 1. I don't mind confessing that because I think that's way, I'm not saying she's going to win, but she's still very much alive. And for all of those reasons, I think this is very much a field leg.
Well, we welcome the Korean Racing, is it Association, Graham? Authority. Korean Racing Authority to KZN, always firmly part of our champion season. And this is the KRA Cup. It's over 1,000 meters and it's race number 6. And before we touch on the field and some betting as a guide, let's go to that package, a rerun followed by some interviews.
And King of the Gauls in the centre of the track. Chocolate Soldiers on the stand side. Right there, Luhamba Pambili. Otaniqua. Then comes Fastnet Philly. License to Thrill goes through down the inside with Outlaw King. Teflon Man's going to try and put in a claim the outside. Coming to the 200. They come from everywhere. Luhamba Pambili. Down the inside, Otaniqua. Fastnet Philly between runners. Outlaw King on the inside. Coming down to the line. It's very close between Otaniqua and Fastnet Philly. Luhamba Pambili and Outlaw King is back and forth.
Yes, I thought he acquitted himself well in the 400 metre dash. He's come out of that race very well, and with the advantage of a good draw, I think he's going to be a good each-way chance.
King Regent, unfortunately, he bled in the race that we really primed him for. And he went for a nice break. We sent him to Nordic Beach with Mike Stewart. He absolutely loves it. The last time we sent him there, he won 5 in a row. And we're preparing him for the big sprint in May. So I think it's a touch short for him. It's amazing, the old horses, they come back and their memory muscles, unbelievable. He's fitter than I think. And yeah, look, he's got a problem in the pens that he just, sometimes he misses a break. And over 5 furlong, it's quite hard to make it up.
Well, I'm going to try and paint a picture and give you some betting and just give you a picture on how I think the race is going to work out. And let's see if Graham can, give us a short list, because we'd like to narrow things down here, but I find it very difficult. Graham, the betting is like so. Number 1, the Abdicator, 22 to 10. 2, Luhamba Pambili at 33 to 10. Taking down the betting for number 3, Winter Greeting at around 10 to 1. 4, Bourbon Warrior at 8 to 1. 5, African Skyline at 8 to 1. 7, Ziasha is at 11 to 2. And 9, Future Variety at 13 to 2. Double figures the balance. Well, when I looked at the race, the pace is with numbers 1, 2, 7, and 10. Those are the front runners. The Abdicator, Luhamba Pambili, number 2, number 7, which is Ziasha, and number 10, No Filter. And then the horses that will enjoy a decent tempo, namely number 3, Winter Greeting, number 5, African Skyline, and horse number 9, Future Variety. I'm not discounting the chances of the other horses, but those look to be the principals. Now, the problem I have, Graham, is trying to narrow this down to 5 runners, because once it passes that number, then it looks like a field race. And I don't want to include number 11, Ponta Pietri. So that's my problem here, Graham. So let's call it a field of 10, excluding Ponta Pietri. So we need 5 runners. The speed versus horses coming from off the speed. What you make of it?
I think the speed, we saw the advantage of gates 1 and 2 last weekend. It's going to be a little different this weekend because the rail is a little bit further out. It's interesting that this KRA Cup has got a higher average merit rating than the listed race, the In Full Flight Stakes, in which Luhamba Pambili ran 3rd. So it's very competitive. The Abdicator also had a blowout last week. He raced in the 400 meter dash, doesn't form part of the official record, so it's not reflected here in your form books. But I like the way he ran. But with the Abdicator, you've always got this question mark about how he's going to behave in the starting gates. He behaved well last week. He was off to a slightly sluggish start, but that was a 400 meter dash. I think if he gets away on terms, he's going to be a very, very hard horse to beat with just 52.5 on his back. And I make the only danger number 2, Luhamba Pambili. So I'm rowing in a big way with numbers 1 and 2. But you've mentioned others. Winter Greeting has won her only course and distance starts. That was some time ago on the 31st of March 2024 in lesser company. So she is technically unbeaten over track and trip. Zayasha has got a lot of speed. He's also only won his sole start over the course and distance, and he was a good winner over Mer Capitano back in November. Will he need the run? 61.5 to shoulder, giving a lot of weight away. Future Variety is a class class package. He's had a bit of a stop-start career, suggesting there are problems with this 4-year-old chestnut son of Var, but my feeling is that he's going to find 1,000 meters, possibly on the sharp side. Like you mentioned, he will be running on very strongly. Whether he gets there in time, he certainly has the class to do that. So my focus here is very much on numbers 1, the Abdicate, and 2, Luhamba Pambili. I think the betting in this race has got it pretty much just about right. But you're going to have to hold your breath at the gates with number 1, the Abdicator. He's been known to blow the start on more than one occasion. If he gets away on terms at these weights, he'll carry my hopes.
Numbers 1 and 2 for Graham, and he's going with the speed of numbers 1 and 2. Abdicator needs to, just settle down in those starting stalls, as he mentions. Luhamba Pambili, all he needs to do is just jump. And when he jumps, he's got a lot of pace and speed. But this horse, Ziasha, for Clinton Binder, the word from the yard in the computer form is that he's working and doing well. And just the draw to overcome, because when he won last time out at a big price, he beat a cracking good field in that Bantry Bay Stakes, and Raymond Danielson got the right tune out of him. In fact, Raymond was partnered him twice for a win and a second, so he knows the horse very well, and a horse that's also built with speed. 61.5 kgs, giving these other horses weight well over 1,000 meters. Many are of the opinion that you can get away with it. So a very interesting race here, race number 6. Graham likes numbers 1 and 2. I'll make it a bit more open than that. We'll try and narrow it down to 5 runners. It makes it very, very difficult. So it may just turn out to be a race where, you're going to put in the big F field and hope for, a result here. But Graham could be spot on. The speed could hold up from draws 1 and 2.
The main race of the day, the World Sports Betting 1900 Grade 3, 500,000 Rand on the line, but more importantly than the money, perhaps a berth in the final field for the 2025 Hollywoodbets Durban July on Saturday, the 5th of July. As always, the World Sports Betting 1900, as the name of the race would suggest, is run over 1900 meters. It's the first leg of the final pick 3. It goes off at 3:15, and here's the package.
300 to go. El Ravien's the leader. Bad Medicine, Okavango, Bomb Bomb, and then Blackberry Breeze as they come to the 200. El Ravien, and on the outside, Okavango, Bad Medicine, then Bomb Bomb. And now Okavango comes into the lead past the 200 meter marker. And it is Okavango who starts to light up. And Okavango's got it won. Second coming on late is Villa Vicosa or El Ravien. They involved, and then Bad Medicine. Rapidash between runners, and on the inside Legal Counsel. Coming down to the 300, and Command Pilot still leads it. I Salute You, Seliqua, Arena Trogon. Rapidash is on the inside, and Fire and Flames. Coming down to the 200. Seliqua on the outside, down the inside Narina Trogon, and I Salute You. But it's Narina Trogon, I Salute You, and Seliqua. I think I Salute You won it. I think I Salute You from in second, Seliqua, and on the inside Narina Trogon. Let's go back to this one.
Seliqua, yeah, good last run in feature race company again. He's been stepping up slowly up the grades, and it's another good test for him. His work's been very solid at the moment, and obviously it's a competitive race. Horses all trying to get their slots in for the July, so he's one of those horses that in that bracket. But like I said, he's in the right space, so he's fit, he's in good form, and it's the right time to test him. The trip should be ideal for him, and just need a little bit of luck from the draw, and hopefully he can run on nicely. Cape Eagle also coming out of good group form and listed form, so he's been there and done it. He's done it for the last 2 seasons. What you see is what you get with him. He's always competitive, he's versatile, he likes to race forward, always race from off them, so there's options with him. Gareth obviously rode him very early on in his career. He repartners him, and I think he's the type of rider that'll probably suit him, and also drawn a little bit wide, but I'll leave it in Gareth's hands.
Yeah, for me, he's an exciting horse for the season. When we won his last start, the jock got off and said, geez, he's just getting better and better. I said, well, I'm going to try and qualify him for the July with bottom weight. And he said, no, the Gold Cup. And I said, okay, no problem. And that was his penultimate win when he won. And then when he won his last start, he said, I think you're right. I think that July could be the race. He put up a fantastic gallop last week at Greyville. We showed him the course. I was very, very excited with his workout. And what I do like about him is that he's just getting better and better as the months go by. You know, he's a big giant of a horse. I think he's going to be 17.3 at least. I mean, he's huge. And he's just, every month he's starting to fill that frame. He's taken a bit of time. He's a very smart horse. I think he's going to run an absolute blinder. I haven't had the chance to study the field. But yeah, we think he's going to be a big run on Saturday.
Fascinating renewal of the World Sports Betting 1900 Grade 3, 1900 metres. The question you've got to ask yourselves, does the betting paint an accurate picture? 3 of Justin Snaith's horses in single figures, the rest double figures, offering plenty of value if you're looking to cast your net a little wider. So here's the betting. The least fancied of the Snaith trio is number 6 Future Swing, who obviously won this race last year, beating subsequent HDJ winner Oriental Charm. He won last year off a mark of 103. He's now on a mark of 117. He hasn't won since, but has run good races in defeat on occasions. Number 8, Okavango, as we saw in that clip, he won with a lot in hand. The margin flatters the runner-up Villa Vicosa. Andrew Fortune was looking right, he was looking left. The race was safely put to bed, approaching the final 200 metres. But, and I'm going to ask Dees for his opinion on this in just a moment, his last 3 starts have been average merit rating fields of 76. Yes, he's won his last 2 and he's won them convincingly. This is an average merit rating of 107. That's 31 pounds higher. So in making him 22-10 favourite, we're all sort of, it's a leap of faith that he's going to improve and improve significantly to find himself in the winner's enclosure here. His stable companion Native Ruler is 33-10, has found some anti-post betting support. He ran a distant 4th in the Derby. He incurred a £12 penalty for that 4th, and there were only 7 runners. Something's got to run 4th. You be the judge as whether he deserved to go from 91 to 103. Dees, I'm looking wider. I'm really excited about Holding Thumbs. I hear what Glenn Cotson has got to say. I've seen him in the flesh. He is 17 something hands. He's definitely maturing as he gets towards his 5-year-old season. He's a son of Ayrton Gederick. He's a galloper. He's a hard-knocking galloper. But I also like, amongst many others, I also like both of Andre Nell's runners, Cape Eagle and Salukwe. I think they're honest as the day is long. Underworld, the 4th string to Snaith's bow, is not without a chance. He comes into the race with good form. Is it as easy as the betting suggests, or is it more the hype around these horses that is influencing the betting?
I'm glad you're speaking about, you know, the way they've priced them up. I think let's just begin there. 22-10 for number 8 Okavango. I was shocked when I took down that betting, because if it was purely a mathematical problem, and Graham has given you, you know, some reasons as to why, the average rating to what he's been racing against and how he won. Yes, he was geared down last time out, but purely from these 2 3-year-olds, Okavango and Native Ruler, you know, the handicapper's got a job to do, and we respect him when he puts up these ratings. This horse is 3.5 kgs inferior on ratings to his stable companion number 9 Native Ruler. That's number 1, and that's 22-10. And I'm not surprised that Native Ruler has shortened from 9-2 into 7-2. They're both carrying 52 kg. So of the 2, clearly Native Ruler has faced much stronger down in the Western Cape, whereas Okavango could be a progressive horse that's just finding himself. And, you know, I could be underrating him, but he's got a serious test on his hands. So I don't agree with the fixed odds betting market in this race between the 3-year-olds, numbers 8 and 9. I think it should have been the other way about if you were pricing up. So those are the 2 3-year-olds. Then the older horses from Snaith's camp, I think both 5 and 6 have to be considered. Graham mentioned the winner of the race last year. Richard Fourie was all the rage for this horse going into the Hollywoodbets Durbanville, where he flopped. He bounced back in the Gold Cup, and since then he hasn't won, but he's always been a horse that will keep you interested. Underworld goes for 3 in a row. So Snaith has a strong hand, 5, 6, 8 and 9. I must agree that between 4 and 13, we saw that rerun, they'll have every chance of reversing the form with the 3-year-old that beat them last time out, number 14, I Salute You, because of the weight turnaround. In fact, I'll be in 4 and 13 scamp ahead of 14 this time round. So the 3-year-olds, 8, 9, and 14, taking on these older horses. Holding thumbs, Graham, I did watch that gallop last week. In fact, I had a long chat to Sean Veal after that gallop. It was prior to racing, and he was upbeat about this horse's chances of qualifying for the Hollywoodbets Durbanville July. And if it doesn't work out, then the Gold Cup will have to be his other, alternative or option. But he was very confident with that gallop last week, and I'm really interested to see how this horse takes firstly to the track, because I think his running style will suit, and secondly on how he progresses here in KZN. So in summarizing, Graham, my short list of numbers here in numerical order are 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 13, all of Snape's runners, Narina Tragon and Salukwe, and then I've also thrown in Holding Thumbs. But we spoke about it being a mathematical problem. If you have a look at that best weighted column, it belongs to one horse only, and that's Indian Ocean.
And she comes in off the back of a second placing behind Olivia's Way. We were chatting offline about Olivia's Way and the fact that Roy Magner thinks she's a realistic chance in this year's Hollywoodbets Durbanville July, and or 53.5, number 12, Indian Ocean, is the best weighted. So I'm in a serious danger of embarrassing myself completely, Dees. Why I wanted to bank a number 9, Another Dream, and she's no good thing, but why I wanted to bank a number 9, Another Dream, in the first leg of the pick 6, go the field in the second, just with numbers 1 and 2 in the third leg, is because I want the entire field in this year's renewal of the World Sports Betting 1900. I might be way off the mark. Okavango might be the real deal. I differ with Dees. I think he is better than Native Ruler, probably more progressive. I need to see Native Ruler's just won one race coming into this event. He won a maiden, possibly quite luckily, beating Gran Canaria. That has come out to frank that form as well. I'm not sure the betting paints the true picture. I can see Okavango winning by a country mile. I can see him running unplaced. I can see him drifting to 7-2. There's so much up in the air. I'll be honest with you, for me, it's a complete mystery, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they run.
We're on to race number 8, and this is a class 4 over 1900 meters. We in the final straight now for this race meeting. It's WSB 1900 day, and this 8th race, well, we got a rerun and an interview package to look forward to.
One is I'm Classy, and Harun Al-Rashid is now making a run on the outside. Harun Al-Rashid comes to Limelight Legend past the 200 meter marker, and Harun Al-Rashid now has exploded into the lead. I'm Classy's trying to run on, but Harun Al-Rashid has got it won. And Harun Al-Rashid to win by about 3 or 4. Second position is going to go to Limelight Legend, I Am Classy, and Black Platina.
Papa C is fitting well in himself. I got the impression he was a bit one-paced last time out. He has done well over longer trips in the past, and with the forthcoming apprentice, I think he's more than capable of running into the first 4. Arabian is holding his form, he's coming back to his best. I did feel, even though he ran a fairly decent race last time out, he needed the run. We hadn't been able to work the couple of weeks before that, and he's quite a big burly horse. Also, looking at the weights, he raced 10 kilos overweight. So I think he's stripped down a lot more now. He's very well in himself, and if he has luck in running, he'll be in the first 3.
He ran an encouraging race last start, finishing the race off well, but he still has a lot of ground to make up to get to the winner's circle, so it's just a more of a hopeful runner than anything else.
Yeah, look, his last one's slightly disappointing, behind Onmana. But every horse can have a bad day. I thought he'd run a lot closer at the weights. He's a nice progressive 3-year-old. Look, I think that his target's probably going to be the Derby this year. If we can get him there, Snace, the horse looks like it's going to be favourite. But the form lines, if you look further back, there's nothing between the two of them. I think he's in a very good space at the moment. I think he's around a blinder.
Well, very interesting race number 8, this class 4 over 1900 meters, as we bring up the field we'll have a look at some betting. Number 2, El Ravine, is at 8-1. 3 is Villa Vicosa at 8-1, and I got number 4, Regulation, Snaith and Van der Merwe, JP, 15-10. 7 Bombers in the Sky at 5-1. 8 Chill in the Air at 5-1. And then it's double figures, the balance. Graham, I want to start off by, going to the previous race, and we're speaking at length about Okavango and his rating and what he's run against, priced up as the favorite. And then I come to this race, and he's priced up at 22-10 in the previous race. And I come to this race, and if you like Okavango in the previous race, and if you're a fan of the horse, your eyes must light up with number 3, Villa Vicosa, who's trading at 8-1. I don't know what rating he ran to last time out, Graham, but he was receiving a lot of weight from Okavango. But the fact is, when you watch that replay of that race, he was the only horse that was making any impression in the closing stages of the race from the position he came from. And he's got a good draw now of 3, and they've put a claim 4 on, so 50 kgs on his back. He repeats that last start. 8-1 looks seriously attractive here, Graham.
Looks a good value selection, number 3, Villa Vicosa. As you said, the draw carrying just 50. If the apprentice can get the right tune out of Villa Vicosa, also being by last winter, one would expect the further that he goes, the better he'll be. So very much alive is number 3, Villa Vicosa. Regulation, as you've mentioned, is the firm favourite, brings good solid Cape form into the race. So it's going to be interesting to see how Native Ruler goes in the World Sports Betting 1900, because if you go back to the Politician Stakes, where Native Ruler ran 3rd behind Zeitz before running that distant 4th in the Splash Out Cape Derby. In that race, the Politician Stakes, Regulation was less than 2 lengths behind Native Ruler. Native Ruler has since gone on to become 103 as a result of his Derby run. This one has remained on an 88. So if Native Ruler does run a really top race in the World Sports 1900, that can only enhance the chances of number 4, Regulation, who is very much at home over this trip. But he does have to give away 11.5 kilos to number 3, Villa Vicosa. I think Bombers in the Sky is a galloper. I was quite taken with number 9, Haroon Al Rashid's maiden win. He's coming along the right way. This is his first step up into handicap company, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Angel of My Heart and El Ravine, they could get into the mix for trifectas and quartets. So the race does revolve around Regulation, and if he brings his A game to the races, and there's no reason why he shouldn't, despite top weight of 61.5, he should run a big race. But I agree with you that number 3, Villa Vicosa, does look attractive at current odds with just 50 to shoulder.
Needs to confirm that last start, Villa Vicosa, and if he does just that and just continues to build on that performance, he will be a serious runner with a postage stamp on his back. For Regulation, rightfully at the top of betting boards, but is 11.5 kgs too much for him to concede to number 3, Villa Vicosa, considering this horse got that close to Okavango. So I'm going numbers 3 and 4 here in all bets. If you're looking for backup to El Ravine, it wasn't too far behind Villa Vicosa on that run to Okavango, and you heard it from Glenn Cotson with number 7, Bombers in the Sky. That'll be the backup if you're looking for 4 runners, but both Graham and I agree that for Regulation on those Cape form lines, right horse at the top of betting boards, 15-10 could be short, but the value certainly lies with number 3. At the time of recording, Villa Vicosa trading at 8-1.
The 9th and final race is the World Sports Betting Fly with the Best Class 4 fillies and mares handicap over 1,400 meters. The racing action ends at 16:30, and we have a nice field of 12 runners to contest this highly competitive event. Before analysing the form, let's hear what Duncan Howells had to say.
Princess Palace, she's a real trier, honest little filly. Been holding her form quite well. Also a filly I believe will be far better on good going. Last run was in very soft ground. She's only caught out the last 100 to 50 meters of the race. So I think she's come on from that run. She's well in herself, and once again her first 3 chance.
The key runners here have all drawn nicely. The early favourite at 5-2 is number 1, Rugger Lover. Richard Faree teams up with Tinny Prinsloo, who's only done so twice before for a win in a second. So it's a notable jockey booking. But of course, the big question mark is that Rugger Lover's been doing all of her recent racing over the minimum trip of 1,000 metres, does step up to 1,400 metres, going into uncharted territory, but does so from pole position. We heard there from Duncan Howells. Big runner number 2, Princess Palace, brings good consistent form into the race, and there's no doubting that she's suited to 1,400 metres, and again the gate is a good one. 4 Madalena also has nice form and is drawn towards the inside. But before I hand over to Dees, I think I might have found some value here, Dees. I'm interested in this horse number 5, Sign of Fate. You look at the form and you say, well, it's uninspiring, and that would be accurate. 7-1 in the early exchanges. Perhaps this one will even drift out in the market, but what grabs my attention, the average merit rating of a last number of runs have been 90, 85, 92, 88, 93, 94, 95, and here she plunges to an average rating of 76. I think she could get into the play. Certainly a nice inclusion in trifectas and quartets for me.
Okay. Jermaine Maharaj tips in the computer form for this meeting. He tips it first. Graham Hawkins tips it first. And I can say there was no consultation between the three of us. We haven't compared notes. And we all three have come up with the same number. I agree with Graham totally when you have a look at what she's been racing against, and now that she's come down to a low 81. This is a field that is far inferior to what Robbie Hill has been testing her against, and I think he's found the right race for her. Number 5, Sign of Fate, at around 8-1, 7-1, she is the horse that I think represents all the value in the race. I'm just going to add to that. If you go to the WSB 1900, you'll see I Salute You, found some outside money from 20-1 into 14-1. That form line is represented here by this filly. I Salute You since won again. Field Marshal has won, and Mascherina coming through to win the East Coast Cup the other day and winning it in fine style. It's a form line to follow as well. So we all agree that's Jermaine Maharaj, Graham Hawkins, and I with number 5, Sign of Fate. And it's very seldom you find three guys that are going to be picking the same horse at a decent price. So that, I think, will definitely shorten after the show. Number 5, Sign of Fate. The backup, Graham, number 2, Princess Palace, gets my vote for the pick 6. And then I found some nice roughies here, Graham. Ethereal Lay View, Mike Miller's runner at any price. I'm not going to discount her chances. I keep going back to some of her earlier runs, and I just find it too hard to believe that she's this bad when she's runs badly. Her form's in and out, erratic, but she goes into my pick 6. She could be a big bomb result. Number 11, Upukwe Bazane for MJ Ordendal. Stables in good form. Having watched this horse last few runs, I think the draw is immaterial. Given a nice patient ride by Sean Veal, will be running on nicely. And then another roughie at 14-1 who's poorly drawn, and I think Craig Zaki will suit this horse beautifully, is number 12, She's a Machine, from that draw. Her last start wasn't the worst behind Colorado Creek. So the backup with number 5 in the pick 6, going to be numbers 2, 6, 11, and 12. Those are the 5 runners for me, Graham. But I agree, and I'm in your camp here, and I rubber stamp number 5.
So there we go, a consensus regarding the chances of number 5, Sign of Fate. Perhaps a better chance than the betting would suggest. Clearly the principles are drawn well. Numbers 1, Rugger Lover, 2, Princess Palace. Many with chances, always the potential for an upset and a good quartet dividend in these Class 4 fillies and mares handicaps. Perhaps Sign of Fate is the roving banker with as many as you fancy. It's a tough end to the last to a tough day's racing. I think it's a very competitive but very interesting day's racing. The 9th race of Class 4 fillies and mares handicap, 1,400 metres to bring proceedings to an end. Thanks for joining us.